Hello. The gulf between the housing that is currently being delivered in Scotland and what is required is vast. House building needs to change radically. There have been piecemeal and trifling changes in construction, including regulation, over 50 years or more, but these have been thoroughly eclipsed by changes in understanding of what we have to do to address the enormous challenges that we face. We must stop thinking about homes as a collection of houses and start making places and communities. This can start from a change of focus. Today in Scotland, the net zero focus in buildings is based only on the carbon from the construction process and energy and heat in use. But this is a huge underestimate of the real impacts of the built environment and hence the role that it must play in achieving net carbon. For a start, only 8% of our emissions are regulated: space heating and hot water. This is easily resolved by fabric-first, high-quality construction with attention to insulation, thermal bridges and airtightness and human-centric controls. Efficiency is still the cheapest form of energy. The residual can be affordably and efficiently met from our increasingly decarbonised Scottish grid that uses cost-effective, reliable technologies. Locally and globally, this makes much more sense than expensive, short-life, renewable bling, such as the imported PV panels with over a 100-year carbon dioxide payback period, which are commonly used now. We can go further. Our proposals for the Homes for 2030 competition reach the final stage based on plant-based materials, a post-petroleum palette that locks in carbon. But what about the remainder? Our transport choices contribute 18% of our domestic carbon footprint. But for many people, these are not choices at all, but the consequence of poor planning and negligence of real needs. The dominance of new houses on peripheral estates, eating up greenfield land, with parking for 2 cars but no access to amenity, no local shops, child or medical care, jobs or play. These create reliance on high-impact travel. People have little choice but to drive to the supermarket, conveniently located, as planning gain. Our food choices, 23%. The average waiting time for allotments exceeds 10 years. Where is the choice? Tackling climate emergency in a way that is fair and equitable requires us to provide those choices. We need to create all places and strong communities as socio-economic hubs. We need to create places of short distances. Until recently, the principal concern about housing in Scotland was inadequate supply. But for the last 40 years, Scotland's housing has been dominated by a small number of volume builders and a purely numbers-led agenda. Yet there's still inadequate supply, and it is increasingly unaffordable. The strategy is not and will not work. In 2019, I put together a conference to discuss Scotland's housing, more than just numbers, to consider future-proofing against climate and an ageing demographic with access and emotional needs. We showed a range of urban and suburban housing from the UK and Europe that demonstrated genuine options in terms of lifestyle choice. All demonstrated local involvement, affordability and commitment to high quality in environmental and social terms that met the needs of individuals and society as a whole. In Tübingen, the local authority bucked the trend of selling off land to provide private developers and instead put their own development team together. They set benchmarks for energy, water and waste and banned toxic treatments and pollutants, including plastics. Without the need to satisfy developers' needs for 50% profit margins, they built affordable, climate-resilient housing and invested the profits in integrated transport infrastructure and active ground floors for shops, childcare, play, office, workshop and community hubs. The result is an affordable, vibrant and socially productive and architecturally diverse mixed-use place, a socio-economic hub. Vauban is similar, but more ambitious, with energy exporting housing and very, very low private car ownership. Oslo has seen the industry upskilling through a 10-year collaboration between local governments, financiers, building regulations and the architectural profession, supporting 50 climate-neutral private and public sector projects. Kalkbreiter in Zurich is the result of a design competition for One Planet Living. As well as affordable homes for 250 people, it has a hotel, library, cafes, childcare, meeting rooms for dance, language and more. Lilac in Leeds is a not-for-profit cooperative and co-housing initiative, hitting almost every policy target any municipality could want in a way that volume builders almost corrode those targets. Throughout Scandinavia, Germany and Switzerland, such projects are growing. Addressing one planet living in construction is not an ambition or a luxury. It is a necessity to be embraced by not later than 2030. We must now leapfrog the take, make, waste culture of the last 60 years to define a new era of building and professionalism. We need to densify and focus on low-impact transport and local amenity. Business as usual cannot continue. We cannot have yet more woefully inefficient housing in seas of tarmac with families tied to the company store and the company petrol station. It may require some uncomfortable decisions, because mainstream change will not happen voluntarily. So mainstream devices, education, training, regulation and planning policy are required. We need innovation, but we cannot let the need for innovation slow us down. There is much that we can do now. To fail now is to fail forever.